By the end of this video, you're going to know the two most important supplements that you need to take for your own thyroid health. Most women that I meet that are trying to lose weight, they go to the gym and they're doing intensive workout, and that usually the trainer gets them motivated to do a little bit more. And then they go home, make their smoothies with kale and good vegetables and fruit. Unfortunately, we have found that those can actually have a reverse effect on your thyroid. Hi, I'm Dr. Manon Fielding, and I've been practicing in women's health and wellness as a holistic physician for about 30 years now. And I started this channel to educate this community about holistic wellness for women, because I really have found that knowledge is power, for one thing, and have found that we can resolve almost all issues holistically. So hit the subscribe button if you want to continue getting the latest information on holistic wellness for women and reversing your age. If you have felt yourself constantly tired or struggling with weight, you may have noticed your skin is drier or the hair is starting to thin and you brush your hair and more hair comes out. That could actually be related to your thyroid, and it can be reversed before it becomes a more serious issue. This often happens in midlife, and women are much more prone to it than men. So what can we do about that? We're going to talk about the amazing duo of vitamin A and vitamin D. And most of these symptoms can be related to nutritional deficiencies that then create problems with your hormones. But you need to deal with it at that level of deficiency, or else you really can't resolve the problem completely. So we're going to talk more about that, so stay tuned. Let's start with vitamin D, which is often called the sunshine vitamin. And apparently, like 75% of people around the world are deficient. And it actually gets worse when we hit perimenopause and menopause, because there's so many functions that we need vitamin D for, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So when we go out in the sun, we're not actually able to, as we get older, to convert it into the active form. And most of us aren't outside long enough to actually even get enough to begin with. So how much do we really need? What do we need to supplement? And how much do we need in our body? Let's take a look at that. All right, so this chart kind of shows us why we may be deficient. It shows all the different things that vitamin D does. So I'm going to just briefly go through that. So let me use the laser. So you see here that it helps with mental, emotional behavior. So a lot of times in menopause, there's a significant amount of anxiety and depression emotionally, not only with the changes in all of our hormones, and part of it is because of this vitamin D deficiency. So that's one thing it does. Then we have the heart and cardiovascular disease, also related to vitamin D. Decreased immune function, so we get an increased inflammation if we're deficient in vitamin D, which then can be related to pain, fatigue, sleep issues, and a lot of women that have low back pain that starts in perimenopause and menopause could be related to vitamin D deficiency. And down here at the bottom, you see flus and colds, cancer, diabetes. So one thing I noticed during COVID, and there has been some research on this that has proven this to be true, that people who had a higher vitamin D level actually did not get COVID at the same rate that people who don't have enough vitamin D. And also they had if they did get it, a much lower rate of symptoms and intensity of COVID. Personally, I have really kept my vitamin D level up high. And I noticed that for one, I've been around COVID quite a bit as a practitioner working with patients, and it also has been in my home, and I never got it. So I also never get colds or flu, and those are also associated with a lower vitamin D level. And as you will note here, Hashimoto's thyroiditis is very closely related, that a lot of autoimmune conditions, because vitamin D is essential for your immune system, that it can actually modulate and make your immune system higher if it's too low, or lower if it's too high. Autoimmune diseases is when your immune system is actually at a heightened level, and Hashimoto's thyroiditis is very common in women in the perimenopause and menopause because of this deficiency. So how much vitamin D do we really need? Well, in your body, when they measure it and on a blood test, it'll be in nanograms per milliliter. And minimally, we want it to be between 40 and 60, 40 to 60 nanograms per milliliter. Optimally, 60 to 80 nanograms per milliliter, try saying that 3 times fast, prevents breast cancer at about 85%, prevents 85% of breast cancers when you get your levels up that high. So I recommend get tested and get your levels up to that 60 to 80. A lot of doctors are recommending between 40 and 60, and a lot of these deficiencies would go away in that level. But if you want to prevent all kinds of cancers, why not get it up a little higher? It's very easy to do. It's very inexpensive to take vitamin D, and there's no negative side effects. So just go ahead and get tested and get your levels up. Some women actually may need 5,000 to 10,000 IU to get their levels up to one of those minimal levels and to optimal levels. It actually took me a number of years to get mine to the right level. I started out at something between 15 and 20, I remember, that it was really low when I first hit menopause. And then I started taking 5,000 IU and got it up to that higher level that I was talking about, where it prevented me from getting COVID. So that's what I recommend. And if you need help learning how to get a test, it's very simple, and I can show you where. And I did want to mention that one of the studies that I looked at showed that close to 80% of patients that are diagnosed with Hashimoto's were found to be vitamin D deficient. So this is essential. And another important fact is that even if you have already been diagnosed with hypothyroid or Hashimoto's and you start taking vitamin D and get your levels up, you will see an improvement in your symptoms. Never too late. So vitamin D isn't the only supplement that you need to take. We're going to get into the next one in just a minute, but I wanted to make sure you knew some of the really important things to avoid that I kind of mentioned a little bit at the beginning. One of them is avoiding intensive exercise, because that actually can have a reverse effect on your thyroid because it raises your cortisol levels that interfere with thyroid hormones. So instead, what I want you to do is actually a moderate paced walking, cycling, swimming, and strength training is also really helpful, but not with heavy weights. You need to start to use lower weights at an increased repetitions. Is going to be better for weight loss. You're going to be able to tone, but you're not going to have that reverse effect on your thyroid. All right, let's take a look at the next one. All right, the second one is avoiding stress. And not really avoiding stress, because we really can't do that, but we can avoid the physiological effects by doing certain things, such as going out into nature. Nature is very healing for our physiology and calms us down. We can also do meditation on a daily basis, Tai Chi, yoga, especially yoga that really focuses on your body, not hot yoga, aerobic yoga, but one that really helps you focus on your body and mind connection. That's the important thing, and that is a good way to reduce the stress on your body and help your thyroid. And the last one is to avoid is not getting enough sleep. A lot of women think that as we age that we don't need as much sleep, but we actually need the same amount of sleep as we always have. 7 to 9 hours is what biologists say in terms of research that is optimal for our well-being, that we have time to regenerate all of our organs, our brain, and calm our nervous system, and we waking up feeling more refreshed and more energy during the day, and it's definitely going to be beneficial for your thyroid. So now let's talk about vitamin A. That is the second vitamin that many of us are deficient in, that is required for our thyroid. And why is it so important? Well, the thyroid produces different hormones. T4 is the most prevalent form that is produced by the thyroid. but T3 is the active form. And we need the active form to do all the functions that are important in our body that the thyroid handles, including that metabolism that we talked about earlier. So if we don't have enough vitamin A, we can't convert that T4 to T3. So how do we know if we're deficient? So these are the most commonly noticed symptoms of vitamin A deficiency that you may notice. You have your fatigue, the dry skin, hair is thinning, you notice more in the shower or when you brush your hair, and brain fog, which is so common in menopause. So those are directly linked to not having enough vitamin A that helps to convert T4 to T3. The vitamin A plays a very important role in our immune function, similar to vitamin D, and helps to regulate the immune system. It helps reduce inflammation and protecting our thyroid health. So how do we know if we're getting enough? We need 700 to 900 micrograms of vitamin A every day. And there are food sources that you may or may not be eating enough of, and a lot of them are in those yellow and orange vegetables. That includes your sweet potatoes and your carrots, okay? But it also has a lot of vitamin A in eggs. And also, if you're not getting enough A and D, I highly recommend cod liver oil. I know a lot of people don't love cod liver oil, but in the days when people were using that a lot more, we had a lot less of these issues. What I recommend is you can take a tablespoon of the cod liver oil, mix it with some fresh orange juice, and it disperses it and helps it digest and absorb much better in your body. And not only do you get the A and D, but you also get your omega-3s at the same time. So really good for you. So by making sure that you have adequate levels of vitamin A and D, you can support your thyroid in multiple ways. And whether you want to prevent issues from happening or if you already have symptoms, start reversing that process and really help your thyroid function more optimally, and will have a profound impact on your health and all the different ways that we talked about with metabolism, with your skin, with your immune system, and so many things that are affected by these deficiencies, including the thyroid. So here's the actionable steps. 1, get your vitamin D level tested if you don't already know what it is. Get your levels up to the 60 to 80, where you not only prevent thyroid problems, but you also help prevent cancers. Vitamin A, take the recommended daily allowance, 700 to 900 micrograms, or make sure you're eating the foods that contain the vitamin A. So I appreciate you watching today, and if you've enjoyed this and you've gotten something out of it, please like and subscribe to get more tips on living a vibrant, healthy, holistic life. And don't forget, you can click the link to discover your own hormonal imbalances and nutritional deficiencies by taking our simple 3-minute quiz, link below. All right, have a great day.